Hey, this is Sid with Table Talk with Sid Features. I'm back with Dawni Angel, the Practical Mystic, Jody, Reverend Jody, of course. And we're excited today because the topic is not necessarily on the inauguration coming up, but it is, the topic is about beliefs of people. I mean, if you really look at our society, and I know I do this with my girls, and I know you both do this, that you're teaching them to stand up for what they believe in, to speak their mind, to have their own thoughts, whatever those thoughts are. And for example, my girls, I don't want them to have beliefs of my beliefs. I want them to hear my beliefs and then to go ponder and get educated so they can decide what their beliefs are. And I know that as a whole, we definitely are advocates for teaching our children, ourselves, and people around us to stand firmly on what you believe. You may have to go get educated, but don't just follow the masses just to believe something. So with this thing coming up Friday, okay, I had a girlfriend yesterday. So she's the most recent because then last week I had another girlfriend. They both sit on different sides of the fence, both extremely heated. I mean, it was really interesting. I could see the steam coming from my girlfriend's ears yesterday. She was even slightly shaking. She was so upset. And her point is that she's frustrated because she believes, now this is her speaking, she believes that people who have been invited to perform for the upcoming president should be going to support that because it's about supporting our country, not supporting him. This is her point of view, okay? And that there are some things bigger than yourself that we honor over our own personal opinion. And then she was asking me, so this is where you guys are going to come in. So we're going to address this question first. She was asking me, where and at what point do you stand your ground on what you believe? And at where and what point do you take your beliefs and still stand with them, but support and participate in something bigger than yourself?
Oh boy. Okay, I have to start with this, and I don't know that this is going to be popular actually among our listeners because this is such a deeper issue right now. So, you're talking about standing as something bigger than ourselves. That is right there an absolute illusion. To say that anybody, because they have a title, is bigger or more important than any other person on this entire planet is 100% illusion.
Okay, here's a question for you. So I hear what you're saying, but to help the listeners hear what you're saying, are you saying we're talking about one individual or are we talking about the event?
Either way. Either way. So one of the ways that we have gotten into a lot of trouble in the past, this is clear in history, is with the concept of nationalism. So the concept of nationalism is that we care more about our nation than we do about integrity, ethics, human life.
Okay.
Okay? So patriotism is not the same thing. I can, and this is my reality, is I'm very grateful to live in this country for a lot of reasons. It's beautiful. We have a lot of rights that they don't have in other countries. Will I choose my flag or the president or something over my own set of ethics? Absolutely not. 100% not. I mean, this is how we got in trouble with Hitler. That type of loyalty, that type of blind obedience is terrifying. So for somebody to say, I truly do not believe on a deep level with what is happening here, and so they therefore boycott the inauguration, that is well within their rights, and it's within the rights that we have in this country. Mm-hmm. So to me, to choose something, or to see, even to have the illusion that something is bigger than human life or than human safety is a problem in and of itself. This has been a very, very divisive election. which I find to be interesting because I see Donald Trump as an archetype. To me, he is a human being who has risen out of the belief systems of a lot of people, and it is showing this country where we actually are. It's unearthed a lot of, racism, sexism. It didn't create racism or sexism, it's unearthed it. You can ask any woman if sexism is alive and well, and they'll tell you absolutely. You can ask any, minority, is racism alive and well, and they will tell you absolutely.
Right. So this is interesting, okay? As I was speaking to this woman, and as I was speaking to a guy friend of mine, okay? And it was interesting because they, without knowing one another, they both had the same outlook. And their outlook was this. Well, this is how some people can participate and act a certain way, let's say privately, okay? But their own personal belief is that then that person can come back into society and hold a job or a position and act differently. And I think that's an interesting outlook. It's not one I agree with, but it's an interesting outlook of how society looks at things. Because the way one behaves is the way one behaves. You don't behave one way in your marriage and then one way at work and then one way in the office and one way at home. Mm-hmm. You behave in a core, like for you, Jody, I don't know you well, but I know you well enough. You're not going to go steal. You're not going to go downgrade people when you leave your home or when you go to the office. As a core,
like your core essence of who you are.
Your core is who you are. That's what's attractive about you. Because I may not know you really well, but I know you. Mm-hmm. And I can trust that. I know that every time I see Jody, that's who I see. There are people that you see them and you're like,
there's something off here. There's an inconsistency and incongruence.
That's correct. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. So if individuals are talking about that this individual can act one way here, but then he can act one way here, it's a misconception of character, of how one is trustworthy. Trustworthiness is a consistency. It is to the core of who you are, whether we all agree with who that person is or not.
But they're either consistent or they're not. And that's what it does come down to. Because if somebody is consistently untrustworthy,
then they're consistent.
Then you know that. And there's actually no way to interact. In any relationship coach will tell you that there is no such thing as a healthy relationship without consistency.
100%.
Otherwise it becomes intermittent and you don't know how to engage with that, which then creates like a hypervigilance and trying to anticipate what's happening. Mm-hmm. This is what a lot of people in our country are responding to right now, is a lack of consistency. Whether you agree, let's say, for instance, let's say Jimmy Carter.
Okay.
Whether you agreed with him or not, the man was so consistent. Mm-hmm. I've watched so much old footage of him. He was the president when I was a child. Even now, he's still alive and still consistent to his values that he's had his entire life. Right? Mm-hmm. This is what so many people loved about Bernie Sanders, was his consistency. He's had a consistent platform, which he's proven with his actions for the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. So what I think people are responding to with this kind of hypervigilance and this fear is the lack of consistency that we're seeing and have seen in politics for a while now.
And I will agree with that. And Jody, I want you to address this because I agree with you 100%, Dawni. And in a different sort of point of view, he's consistently inconsistent. That's the consistency of him. And it's kind of a roundabout thing. It's just this whirling thing. And so I'd love to know from you, Jody, what your point of view as in having a communication or an opinion or some kind of something that will help so many people that are so divided within our country about what's coming up on Friday, about the future of our country, about who's going to be, quote unquote, leading us. I'd like to know your feedback on that.
Well, I guess I can't say anything without getting my viewpoint out there. My parents are super, super, super extremist Republican. They believe the most out there things. And I just, I just tell them, I'm glad you voted.
Okay.
Bless their hearts. But my birthday was November 10th, and so of course that's right in correlation with the election. And my mom and dad call me on my birthday, and I don't know why they felt that it was necessary on my birthday to interject this, but they just said, "So what do you think about Trump being voted president?"
They wanted to add some color to your birthday, I guess.
Some color. And I literally was sickened. You know, in the past, I've had that viewpoint of supporting our leader. And I've said that in the past to super Republican friends. When Republicans have been in office, I've just said, I'm just here to support our president, you know. And this is the first time that I've just been super sickened by what I'm seeing. But of course, you know, being the work that I do, and that I especially, I love men to death, but I'm about, you know, sexual health for women and being healthy as females. And so that's where I'm really having a hard time personally with this. And some of the activities that I've seen, and we can call it acceptable. Someone absolutely bashed me the other day for commenting to someone else that their cheating behavior was not acceptable. And I thought, they blocked me from Facebook, and I sent them a text, and I said,
It's like, thank you for blocking me, but I'm going to go around the corner.
Exactly.
Knock on your
sent
back
them
door.
a thank you message, and I said, thank you so much for blocking me, because I can't support someone that would support that kind of behavior.
Right.
You know, and that's something that I think is really coming to a head. And maybe it's a good thing, kind of like you've said, Dawni, is it's coming to a head so that we can address this bullshit.
Okay.
And so I like that perspective that you've taken now in, okay, I totally can't support him. I can support me and what I stand for.
Sure.
And I don't stand for that.
So here is a question for you. So years ago, Oprah, when she was doing her big show, and it was on all the time, they did a study, okay? And so everybody came, all the people that were coming to see her show. And when they got there, every individual found out that for some reason or other, the show had been canceled. Now, we all know many of these people had saved up. You know, they're not wealthy. All of them are not wealthy. To get themselves there, to fly there, to stay in a hotel, to have their rental cars, all of these things. And then they get there and they're like, oh my gosh, the show is canceled. So then they went on to watch and videotape each individual. Some were like, oh, okay, that's fine. Some were irate, so angry that they actually had to have the security come and remove them. And then there was only a handful, and I thought this was interesting, a handful of individuals that said, okay, I'm not happy with the situation. But I'm going to problem solve. So there was one guy in particular. He goes, I'm not happy with this situation, but I want to problem solve this. So he starts asking questions, all of these different questions and solutions and options and blah, 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 blah. So finally, they let all the guests in on what was going on, put them in the studio, and they had two different psychiatrists and psychologists there. And they said what this was about was the fact that there is a reason why very few people really ever become what they want to be or what they're meant to be, and why only a handful of people become what they choose to be. And those people, those few, that handful of people that problem solve this. Now they said, the one psychiatrist said, I don't want to hear someone that just like falls over, folds, and is like, that's okay. He's like, that's not healthy either. Someone that doesn't stand for what they want or believe in, or for what's right for them. But then he said, it's not right. It's not healthy for that. Those individuals were irate, beside themselves. But those few that could go, hey, I'm not happy with this. Let's problem solve. I want to know options, those things. And he was saying they are the ones that find more happiness in their life when they can push forward in things they don't agree with. So Dawni, talk to me.
So this is what I deal with on the microcosm with individuals in my sessions every day. Because people come to me, I'm not happy in my life, and I get two different types of clients. I get the type that, and these are two sides of the same coin, where they become hopeless, and that's what's happening with this election, or they become angry and victims, blaming, which is also what's happening with this election. That's the same type of client, and I will know as soon as that happens that there's only so far we're going to get. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend most of that 90-minute session talking them either down off the ledge or up back to life. There's another type of person, and it really does, in a way, feel like a character trait where they say that this is not working for me, now what? Now what? And I feel like as a nation, as an entire country, and really as a world, I mean, we have a global economy at this point. Everything we do affects everyone else. Is that question. That will be the question that will save us from the energy crisis that we're in and have been in for many years. This will be the question that will save us from our own hopelessness and from our own anger. Is now what? We look around us and we see the state of things. And we say, okay, this thing I really like. This thing is not working. Now what am I going to do? The question is, now what is the government going to do? The government was never created to solve our problems, and the second we think they are, we're in way more trouble than any one man could possibly do.
So on this aspect, because I don't know if we can bridge this, I don't know if there is a solution. It is so heated. But what I'm hoping to get to today, because I have my own opinions, of course, strange. But I'm doing my best not to give them, because what I really am hoping for is sort of like when we raise our own children. Not that we're trying to raise the community or a grown adult, but I really want to give opportunity for people to think, to even be sort of pissed off. You can be ticked off all you want, as long as thought is pushed towards you, forcing you to maybe reconsider, to look at your point of view and why you have chosen. Did you really choose your point of view? Or have you been following because that's easiest, it's most popular, it's edgy, whatever the reason. I really want to find out what we can do to assist in this, because I'll tell you, I agree 100%. I am not a person to go support something I don't believe in. And this is how I posed it to my girlfriend yesterday when we were talking. I said, so let's just look at it this way. She has a daughter that's 11. And I said, let's say your daughter knows of a girl at school who's a bully, who's mean, who doesn't treat others well, all of these things. And she has not been treated well by herself. Now she's invited to a party of hers. Do you send your daughter or do you not? And I said, now remember, by physically showing up to things, you are saying often, but not always, because not everyone has this awareness, but often you are saying, okay, I'm here.
I endorse this.
That's correct. I am here. You see me, I see you. You hear me, I hear you, I am here. And I said to her, when let's say you encourage your daughter to go to this birthday party, now are you saying to her, that girl didn't treat your daughter well, nor did she treat anyone else well, but she's there? What does that say to people? It usually says,
I condone this behavior. That person
she must behave that way, or somewhere in that forum believe it, or trust it, or support it in some
But
way.
what people are upset about this time, including your friend, is that they are seeing this inauguration as something that is more important than we are. And here's what needs to be said. When the government was set up in the very, very beginning, they were set up to be servants of the people. They were not set up to be our authoritarian. They were set up to, in the background, come up with very basic laws that would then govern a people. They were never meant to be celebrities. They were
Correct.
never meant to be people who would then have say over our ethical lives. They were for temporal laws that would basically protect us from being harmed. What government has become is the deeper issue here. Now, this has, of course, been fed by the people, and it's fed by a people who wants to depend on the government.
I agree 100%.
So, and I'm not talking from that point of view of, oh, these leeches, they need to get, I'm not speaking from that place. I'm speaking from a place of people recognizing their own sovereignty, from people recognizing that what the government was set up to be in the very first place. It has become a circus. It has become something that is actually demoralizing. And that's my big concern is where's the morale right now? It's up to us as individuals to find our own morale inside of our bodies, inside of our own existence, to look around us and see what's beautiful in our personal lives, to bring that to our families, to bring that to our communities. I speak on this all the time. It's the trickle up effect. We're waiting for the trickle down. We're waiting for things to fix themselves and heal themselves on the highest, in the hierarchy. That will not happen. A society is made up of individuals, and as long as the individuals are not well, the society will not be well. That is scientific fact. This is up to us as individuals. So I think I'm 100% not for this presidency. And I will tell you that I think it has brought a wound to the surface that we now have a chance to heal. We have a chance to have very clear conversations with each other where we get to listen, because both sides have a very valid thing to say. Mm-hmm. The frustration is real on both sides. But you guys, have you not noticed when you get under it and you get under it and you get under it, people are saying the same things?
But, you and I were talking earlier about accountability. And this has to come down to personal accountability. And I think it's all across the spectrum. Take accountability for the things we do wrong, if you will. But we got to also take accountability for the things we do good.
Well, what we can do.
Right. But if we are willing to take personal accountability, how are we going to solve the problems of our government? We got to start taking responsibility and not looking to the government to be the solution, because it's clearly not.
It's clearly not. And when we have that, we've actually given the government that function to fill. It's an inappropriate function. The government is made up of a group of people, mostly men, who may or may not have your best interest at heart. Mm-hmm. You have to have your best interest at heart, and your communities.
Absolutely.
Even if we need to have the ability to say, like for me personally, I don't even really need insurance. I go once a year. I can easily pay my payment to go to my doctor once a year. But I can see the need outside of myself for healthcare reform, for some things to happen, even if it doesn't affect me directly. People who don't have children in the school system, but who can see the need for the public school system to raise its standards. So there is an aspect, I do agree with your friend, Sid, about this aspect of being able to see something bigger than ourselves. I just personally don't think that means the President of the United States. Mm-hmm. He's a man that is no different than any other human being on this planet. So
I think what we've come to, and again, in this discussion with us today, I knew full out when we started, we're not going to please everyone. We're not going to come up with an answer for everyone. But I think it is opportunity. Discussion is so powerful. And the opportunity to disagree with someone, because disagreement pushes thought. Mm-hmm. It forces you to figure out, why do I disagree? Oh, maybe, oh my gosh, I didn't really look at that. Maybe I want to do more investigating to understand. So I think today what I hope is that it does push thought. It does push the opportunity to agree or to disagree. It pushes the opportunity to really look at yourself, why you believe what you believe, how you handle yourself, and why you have chosen certain things for yourself, whether politically, personally, whatever that is. Because So many people are truly, if you really look at them, many are unaware of why they believe what they believe. Is there anything else we want to put out there?
I would just say to really ask yourself that question when you're feeling that hopelessness or that anger. Come back to the present moment, engage with the reality of that this is what's happening, and ask the question, what now? On a personal level, what you yourself can actually do to move towards the trajectory of this world, this country being somewhere you want to live. Take that on yourself and ask that question, what now?
Beautiful.
I love that.
Okay, so in your day, you will fall down, stand up, brush off, and move on. Talk to you.